Emily had always been the quiet one in the office, while her coworkers gossiped about fashion, weekend getaways, and high society events. Emily sat at her desk in thrifted clothes, quietly sipping her lukewarm coffee. She wasn't poor exactly, but after paying for rent, bills, and sending money to her younger brother's college fund, there was never anything left over for luxuries she didn't mind. She lived simply, finding joy in small things, reading library books, sketching flowers in her worn notebook, or baking muffins on Sundays. But to her coworkers, she was an easy target. One Friday afternoon, while Emily sorted files, she overheard a group of them whispering, "Let's set her up on a blind date." One of them giggled, "Oh my God, yes, with someone completely out of her league. Imagine her face when she shows up in that outdated dress." Emily's cheeks turned red, but before she could protest, they announced it. "Emily, we've arranged a blind date for you tomorrow night at the Rosewood." The Rosewood, the most expensive restaurant in town. She wanted to refuse, but their mocking stares and raised eyebrows made her feel cornered. With shaky hands, she agreed, telling herself maybe, just maybe, it could be real. That Saturday evening, Emily stood in front of her tiny bathroom mirror, smoothing out the wrinkles on her one decent dress. It wasn't glamorous, but it was clean and pressed. She tied her hair back, dabbed on a little lip gloss, and told her reflection, "You're good enough." Still, as she walked into the Rosewood, with its chandeliers sparkling like diamonds and couples dressed in designer outfits, Emily felt the old doubt creep in. She clutched her faded handbag and took a deep breath, praying she wouldn't make a fool of herself. Emily sat alone at the corner table, her nerves rattling. She noticed the smirks from her coworkers across the room. They had come to witness the show. Then the restaurant doors opened and the atmosphere shifted. Conversations hushed. A tall, broad-shouldered man in a tailored navy suit walked in, his presence commanding attention. His dark hair was slightly tousled, and his eyes carried both confidence and weariness. Whispers rippled across the room. "That's Daniel Reed, the CEO. He's here." Emily didn't recognize the name. To her, he was just another stranger. But when Daniel scanned the room and walked straight toward her table, her coworkers' muffled laughter grew louder. No way, he wouldn't be here for her. This had to be another part of the joke. But then Daniel smiled, warm and genuine, and pulled out the chair across from her. "Emily," he asked, his voice steady but kind. "Yes," she whispered, her heart racing. "I'm Daniel. It's really nice to meet you." The coworkers' laughter faltered. This wasn't going how they had planned. Daniel ordered water for them both and leaned forward as if tuning out the entire room. "You seem nervous," he said softly. "Don't be. I'm just a regular guy, I promise." Emily let out a nervous laugh. "You don't look very regular." For the first time in years, someone looked at her. Not past her, not through her, but at her. His eyes weren't filled with judgment or amusement. They carried interest. Slowly, Emily began to relax. She talked about her childhood, about losing her parents young, about raising her brother while juggling 2 jobs. She admitted she often felt invisible, but, she added shyly, "I've learned that life's little joys, like baking muffins or sketching, are enough to keep going." Daniel listened without interrupting, his expression thoughtful. He asked questions, not out of politeness, but out of genuine curiosity. "And what's your dream, Emily?" She blinked, caught off guard. No one had ever asked her that. "I guess I want to open a small bakery one day, a place where people feel at home." Daniel smiled. "That doesn't sound small at all. That sounds wonderful." For the first time that evening, Emily forgot her coworkers' cruel eyes. She felt seen, but the laughter from the other table grew louder, breaking the fragile moment. One of her coworkers, unable to contain themselves, sneered loudly. "Oh, come on, Daniel. You're not seriously into this, are you? It was just a joke. We set her up because, well, look at her." The words hit Emily like a slap. Her face burned. She grabbed her handbag, tears stinging her eyes, of course. How could I be so stupid? She pushed her chair back to leave, but before she could stand, Daniel rose to his full height. His commanding presence silenced the entire restaurant. He turned toward the table of snickering coworkers, his voice calm but icy. "A joke? You thought humiliating someone genuine and kind was funny? That says more about you than it does about her." The room froze. Even the waiters stopped moving. "Emily," Daniel continued, turning back to her with softness in his eyes, "is the most authentic person I've met in a very long time. She works harder in a day than most of you probably do in a week, and unlike you, she doesn't need cruelty to feel important." His words echoed through the hushed restaurant. Emily's coworkers shrank in their seats, suddenly exposed. The laughter had died, shame replaced it. Emily, overwhelmed, whispered, "You don't have to." But Daniel gently shook his head. "Yes, I do. People need to remember what kindness looks like." Daniel reached for Emily's hand. "Shall we stay? I'd really like to finish dinner with you." Her tears spilled, but this time they weren't from humiliation. They were from relief, from gratitude, from the shocking realization that someone like him truly cared. She nodded, and for the rest of the evening they talked like old friends. Later, as Daniel walked her outside, a little voice called from the waiting car, "Daddy." A small girl with golden curls ran to him, and Daniel scooped her up. "Emily, this is Sophie, my daughter." Emily's heart softened instantly. Sophie smiled shyly, then reached out to hug her leg. "Daddy," Sophie whispered, "she looks like a princess." Daniel chuckled. "She does, doesn't she?" Emily's eyes filled again, but this time with joy. What had begun as a cruel setup had turned into the most meaningful evening of her life. In the weeks that followed, Daniel and Emily's paths intertwined. He visited her tiny apartment, tasting her muffins and encouraging her dream of opening a bakery. She played with Sophie in the park, filling a space the little girl had longed for. The love story that began as a joke became something beautiful, two souls finding each other in the unlikeliest of ways. And the lesson lingered not only for Emily and Daniel, but for everyone who had witnessed that night. Sometimes the world laughs at the wrong people, until kindness shows them who truly deserves to be celebrated. What began as a cruel prank turned into a story of dignity, compassion, and second chances. Emily walked into that restaurant expecting humiliation, but walked out with something far greater: respect, hope, and the beginning of a love she never thought she deserved. Daniel, the powerful CEO and devoted single father, reminded everyone watching that night that true worth isn't measured by money, appearance, or status. It's measured by kindness, resilience, and authenticity. Emily's quiet strength and Daniel's courage to stand by her froze an entire room and transformed mockery into a lesson in humanity. And as Emily later found not just love but also the courage to chase her dreams, the story became a reminder for us all. Sometimes life's most painful moments lead to the most beautiful new beginnings.